which is awesome. So if you are new, just be mindful. I will be offering lots of modifications, lots of different levels, trying to accommodate everybody. And so just do what feels best for you and always honor your body. That's the most important thing. So let's see here. Okay. All right, I'm going to go into position and then we'll get started here. Okay, so we're going to start our class today in Child's Pose or Balasana. So taking your big toes together, your knees wide on your mat, and then just extending your arms forward at the top of your mat. And just go ahead and rest your forehead down. And if I didn't introduce myself, my name is Cindy, and I'm just glad you guys are here today. All right, so back to Child's Pose, forehead on the mat, arms reaching forward. And start to just settle in here. So allowing your arms to rest on the mat and allowing your forehead to rest down onto the mat. And allowing your belly to be soft. And then starting to bring your attention to your breath. And just noticing the sensations that come with the breath. So noticing as you inhale how your rib cage expands, your lungs expand. And as you exhale, your rib cage decompresses and your belly softens. So just taking a few more rounds of breath in your natural rhythm, resisting the urge to control or force the breath. As we start to pay more attention to the body, we get out of the mind and we start to let go of any stories that we're holding on to and become more mindful of the present moment. Starting to lengthen and deepen the breath now. If Ujjayi breathing is in your practice, making that slight constriction at the back of the throat. And this is an audible breath and it's done in and out through the nose. And what it does is it helps warm up the body, the muscles, and the joints for practice. And it also serves as a point of concentration. So trying to keep our Ujjayi breath going throughout our practice. On your next inhale, start to inch your fingertips to the top of your mat. Lift your forearms off of the mat and draw your sits bones back towards your heels. So finding some length, some traction in the spine, opening up all those spaces in between your vertebrae. And on your next exhale, walking your hands off the mat towards the left. So option to have your hands side by side. You can place your right hand on top of your left hand, allowing your forehead to rest down. And focusing on keeping your two shoulders in one line. So you might need to drop down your right shoulder just a little bit. And then breathing into that right side body, expanding the right rib cage. On your next inhale, walking your hands back through center. And as you exhale, walking your hands off the mat towards the right. Option to place the left hand on top of your right hand, allowing the forehead to rest down. And then trying to keep those two shoulders in one line, so maybe lowering down the left shoulder so it's in line with the right. And focusing on breathing in through the right side body. And your next inhale, walking your hands back to center. We'll bring the palms to touch and draw the thumb knuckles to the back of the neck for prayer hands. Taking a moment here to set an intention for your practice. So ask yourself what the reason is that you're here on your mat this morning, or maybe connecting to an I am statement or mantra, a phrase, just anything that is meaningful for you that you can connect to. So sealing your intention in with your next inhale. And as you exhale, sigh it out and let it drift away. And just know that you can come back to this intention at any point in time you need some guidance or motivation for your practice. Gently releasing the hands down to the mat, we'll find a finger bridge. So fingertips into the mat, the palms will lift, finding some length in the spine. And then exhale, palms lower. Inhale, we'll rise to tabletop. So we're on all fours. Wrists are stacked underneath of your shoulders. Knees are underneath your hips, about hips just or 2 fists width between your knees. Starting with some cat and cow. So on your inhale, lower your belly down, draw your heart forward and gaze up to the sky. And as you exhale, lower the chin into the chest and around the spine, pressing into the hands. Inhale, belly lowers, heart lifts, and your gaze lifts. Exhale, chin into the chest and round the spine. So just continuing on with your cat and cow for a few more rounds. And being mindful to link your breath to movement here. And as you move through your cat and cow, focus on pressing into your Hasta Bandha. So your thumb and index first, and then the rest of the fingertips. This just protects your wrists. And start to engage, if you haven't already, your pelvic floor, your Mula Bandha, as well as your Uddiyana Bandha. So this is your transverse abdominis, just drawing that navel in towards your spine to help support your practice. If there's any other movements that you would like to take, feel free to explore here, maybe taking some circles in through the hips. Just making sure that whatever you do on one side, that you balance out the body and you do it on the other side. We'll just come back to stillness in 2 more rounds of breath. So everyone meeting back in tabletop. Keeping your knees stacked over your hips, start to walk your hands forward into puppy pose, Anahatasana. So the hips will stay lifted nice and high as the chest begins to melt down towards the earth. The forehead can graze the mat. And if your chest is easily touching here, you can start to lift your chin and gaze in between those thumbs, making sure the forearms stay active here. And then hollowing out the belly, navel to spine, protecting low back. Inhale, coming into Sphinx, so lowering down onto the forearms, the belly lowers, the toes are untucked, fingers are spread nice and wide here. I'm pressing down into the forearms, the tops of the thighs, and the tops of the feet, feeling a nice release in through the low back. We'll just look over to the left, looking towards our left heel, stretching in through the right side of the neck. And coming back through center, we'll look towards the right heel. Bringing your gaze back to center, lowering the chin into the chest, releasing that cervical spine here. But keeping your chin slightly tucked under, pressing into the tops of the feet, finding a modified plank, forearm plank. So we're just starting to activate that core, waking it up, holding here for just a few more rounds of breath. And then lowering onto the belly, inhale back to Sphinx, lift the heart, the chest, broadening through those collarbones. And then one more time, pressing into the feet and lifting the hips up, holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good, lowering down onto the belly. And then all the way down, the forehead will graze the earth. Hands will come underneath your shoulders, fingertips in line with the tops of the shoulders. And if you have a healthy back, zip up your feet so you have a nice long cobra tail. On your next inhale, start to peel your chest up the mat, finding that baby cobra. think of drawing your shoulders away from your ears and finding that length in the spine. As you exhale, lower down, forehead meets the mat. And again, as you inhale, finding baby cobra. Maybe this time hovering the hands off the mat, testing out that core and back strength. As you inhale, see if you can lift just a little bit higher. And then exhale, lower your forehead down. Last set of cobra here, maybe this time pressing into the hands, being mindful of your low back. If it's sensitive, feel free to take your feet at least mat's distance apart. Lift your heart and your chest. Inhale one more time. Good, exhale, lower down. So zip up your feet if they're apart. And then start to firm your core. Now you can use your knees to lift yourself up, or you can press yourself up to plank in a nice straight line. So just doing what works best for you. So in our plank position, our hands are directly underneath our shoulders. We're pressing and puffing up through the upper back, so in between those shoulder blades. And then think of drawing your ribs in towards your hips and your hips up towards your rib cage. So that just activates that transverse abdominis. We'll take one more breath in. And as you exhale, find your downward facing dog. So first downward dog of the day, feel free to pedal up the feet, bending one knee and then the next. Just finding some gentle movements that feel right to you in your body. You can even maybe lift up high on the toes and then lower and start to melt the heels down. And then we'll come into our alignment, so finding some stillness here. Rooting into the thumb and index finger, that Hasta Bandha, and then the rest of the fingertips, starting to spiral your elbow creases forward. Shoulders draw away from ears, and the tailbone sends up high to sky, so untucking that tail. Navel to spine. Starting to draw your drishti in between your thighs or up towards your navels, and the heels begin to melt down towards the earth. Next, inhale, lift high on the toes. Bring your gaze in between your fingers and start to gently walk or tiptoe your feet all the way up to the mat. See if you can keep your hands connected to the mat as much as you can. And then once you get there, we'll inhale for halfway lift. So finding that flat back, palms come to shins, and then lengthen from the crown of the head through to the tailbone, and then fold. We'll do that again. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Lengthen the spine, drawing your heart forward. And then exhale, fold. Last time here. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Lengthen, flat back, and fold. Finding a soft bend in the knees, pressing to the feet. So root to rise. We'll start to round up vertebrae by vertebrae, stacking one on top of the other, until we come all the way to the top of our mats. We're finding that Tadasana or mountain pose. So spreading fingers wide. And then really finding that alignment. So rooting down through all four corners of the feet, lifting through the insoles of the feet, lifting the quads upwards. So engaging your quadriceps, the tailbone will lengthen down. Activating bandhas, navel to spine. Lengthening through the crown of the head, shoulders draw away from ears. So feeling grounded and really supported by the earth. On your next inhale, circle the hands up, Urdhva Hastasana, palms to touch, gaze to thumbs. Exhale, hinge and fold, swan dive forward. Find a soft bend in the knees if you need to when you fold. Inhale, halfway lift and lengthen, flat back, and then stepping back to high plank. So if you're new to yoga, I'm going to offer a modification to lower to knees, chest, and chin. And as you inhale, you're going to draw your heart forward and lift up for your baby cobra. Exhale, the heart lowers, tucking those toes under. You can use your knees, or you can come up to high plank and then downward facing dog. So that is one example of a way that you can modify. On your next inhale, lift high on the toes, bend your knees, walk, step, or float your feet up to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise, arms reach up overhead. This of the left wrist. As you lengthen up, exhale, come down over to the right. So opening up that left side body here, maybe gaze up to the sky. And then inhale, coming back through center, switching the grip with the wrist. And then opening up your right side body. Pressing down through your right big toe. And then lifting up, coming back through center. And then exhale, hinge and fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift and lengthen. Stepping back to high plank. So option to take your full flow this time or lower down to knees, chest, and chin. If you're going for the full flow, lowering down to chaturanga. So arms do not, or shoulders do not dip below your elbows. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra if you're modifying. So upward facing, hands are under the shoulders, hips move towards wrists, and the thighs are lifted off the mat. And then exhale, making your way back to your downward facing dog, coming back to your breath. Last set of sun 8. Inhale, lift high on the toes, bend your knees, walk, step or float your feet to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, rise, arms reach up, palms to touch, Urdhva Hastasana. And then exhale, hinge and fold forward all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift. You can step back or you can float. If you're floating to chaturanga, make sure that, or if you are floating, make sure you're floating into chaturanga and not your high plank. And then making your way back to down dog. So just always know that you can make your practice your own. If you begin to get a little bit tired, you can skip the flows and come right back to your downward facing dog. Step the feet together. On your next inhale, the right leg rises, finding that 3-point dog. And start to circle the ankle 3 times in one direction and 3 times in the other direction. Peeling your hip open, so bending the knees, stacking that right hip on top of the left hip. Keeping equal weight in both hands. Lifting your knee nice and high, flexing in through that foot. And then next inhale, straighten the leg and square the hip. Exhale, draw knee to nose, cheetah. So bringing knee to nose or maybe even forehead to your knee. Inhale, 3-point. Exhale, knee to nose, cheetah. Inhale, 3-point. Exhale, knee to nose. We hold here for 3, 2, 1. Stepping your foot in between your hands to find your low runner's lunge. So if you need to, if you have blocks at home, you can place them underneath of your hands just to lift your heart a little bit. Give yourself a little bit more space. On your next exhale, lower to the back knee and untuck the toes. As you inhale, arms rise up for low crescent lunge on Jayasana. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, open the arms to a T as you twist. So your hip points are facing forward, but your upper body is twisting. Inhale, come back to center. And then exhale, twist to the left. Inhale, coming back to center. Exhale, twisting to the right. Finding that exalted variation. So right hand moves to the back of the left thigh. The left hand reaches up towards the sky. Maybe follow the fingertips with your gaze. Cartwheeling your hands down to frame your front foot. Tucking the back toes under, elevating the back knee. Starting to get into our core, begin to hover the hands off the mat. And as you inhale, reach the hands up overhead, finding your high crescent lunge. Good, so high on the back toes, all 10 toes are facing forward. And then think of lifting up through the pelvic floor. You want to make sure you have that 90-degree bend in the front knee. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart center and twist over to the right. Left elbow to the outside of the front thigh. 2 palms together, option to modify by lowering onto the back knee and untucking the toes. Looking over that right shoulder. And then if you are lowered down onto the back knee, tuck the toes under, elevate the knee, coming back to your high crescent lunge. As you exhale, open out to warrior 2. So finding that 90-degree alignment in the front knee. And then the left pointing straight forward. You want to make sure that your front heel is in line with the arch of your back foot. Draw your arms out to the side. Think of drawing the fingertips away from one another, shoulder blades together. So Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. So find your gaze, your drishti to the right, fingertips, flip the palm, inhale, reach up and back to Peaceful Warrior. So opening up that right side body, making sure you're not pressing the left hand on your knees, either above or below. And then next, exhale, modified side angle, right forearm to thigh, left hand reaches up. So option to stay here, you can start to draw the left arm, so the biceps beside the ear, and you'll feel a nice stretch from the fingertips all the way down to the left heel. And then being mindful not to dump all of our weight onto the right thigh. We want to use our obliques to help hold us up. Revolving our side angle or easy twist. The back heel lifts up. The left hand lowers to the inside of the front foot. You can always use a block if you need to. The right hand rises. So think of engaging your outer glutes to help stabilize here while your heart is twisting open to the sky. And from here, we're going to step into wild thing. So take your top leg, step it behind you onto the ball of the right foot as you lift your hips high. Palm is facing up. Good, and then lower the right hand down. Taking the right leg over to the left elbow for twisted cheetah. And then inhale, 3-point. So option to keep that right leg elevated, or you can lower it down, shifting through your vinyasa flow. So your variation, whatever works best for you. So inhale, upward facing dog, both feet plant on the floor. And then exhale, coming back to your downward facing dog, resetting with your breath. And just noticing where your thoughts are. Next, inhale, left leg rises, finding that 3-pointed dog. Start to circle the ankle 3 times in one direction and 3 times in the other direction. And then bending that left knee, starting to stack the left hip on top of the right, keeping equal weight in both hands. We have a tendency to dump the weight into the right hand. And then engaging the left glute, seeing if you can lift the knee just a little bit higher than your ankle. Straighten the leg and square the hips. Exhale, draw knee to nose, cheetah, rounding everything in nice and tight. Inhale, 3-point. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, 3-point. Exhale, knee to nose, and hold for 3, 2, 1. Stepping left foot in between your hands. Finding your low runner's lunge, using your blocks if you need to. So as you inhale, draw your heart forward, allow your hips to settle. And as you exhale, lower onto the back knee and untuck the toes. Inhale, arms reach up overhead, low crescent lunge for Anjasana. Taking a deep breath in. As you exhale, twisting to the left. So opening those arms to a T, keeping the hip points facing forwards. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, twisting to the right. Inhale, center. Exhale, twisting left. Moving into exalted, left hand to the back of the right thigh. Right hand reaches up to sky. Gaze will follow. Cartwheel your hands down, framing your front foot. Tucking the back toes under to elevate that knee, finding that low runner's lunge. Activating your core, your Uddiyana Bandha and Mula Bandha. Start to hover the hands off the mat. So your chest is lifting off the thigh, using your core to help hold you up. As you inhale, arms reach up overhead. Nice and tall, finding that high crescent lunge. 90 degrees in the front knee. Good, lower ribs draw in, shoulders draw away from your ears. Next, exhale, hands move to heart center. Twisting to the left, right elbow to the outside of the left knee. 2 palms pressed together, looking over your shoulder. Option to modify by lowering onto the back knee and untucking the toes. Now, if you're lowered down, tuck the back toes under, elevate the knee. Coming back to your high crescent lunge. And as you exhale, moving into your warrior two. So, face you guys. So warrior two. So finding that front heel to back arch alignment, maybe sinking a little bit lower than you want to. And then flipping the left palm up, finding your gaze, your drishti. Inhale to peaceful. So opening up left side body. And then exhale, modified side angle, left forearm to thigh. Rudder reaches up. So maybe staying here or drawing the bicep beside the ear. Maybe following the fingertips or lifting your gaze. And then making sure we're not dumping all the weight into that bottom arm. You can even test it out by extending it forwards. Finding your revolved side angle or easy twist. Right hand lowers, back heel lifts. Left hand reaches up. Following or lifting your gaze towards the fingertips. And then moving into wild thing. So the front foot's going to step behind onto the ball of the foot. The arm is reaching up, palm facing up. The hips are lifting. Moving into twisted cheetah. So crossing the body, left knee to right tricep. And then inhale to 3-point. Option to keep the leg elevated as you shift forward, moving through a vinyasa. Lowering both legs down, upward facing dog. Coming back to downward facing dog. So just resetting the breath. Finding one more round of breath. When you're ready, stepping the feet together. Inhale, right leg rises. And then bending the knee, peeling that hip open. Option to stay here, taking it further by flipping your dog. So flipping your dog, all 10 toes are facing forwards. Both heels are grounded. You're lifting up through the heart, palm faces up. Unflip your dog when you're ready. Come back to your 3-point. Exhale, draw knee to nose for cheetah. Inhale, 3-point. Exhale, knee to nose, cheetah. Inhale, 3-point. Exhale, knee to nose and hold for 3, 2, 1. Step your foot in between your hands. Finding your low runner's lunge. And then start to hover the fingertips off the mat, lifting up for your high crescent lunge. So finding the depth that you left off with the last time you were here. Taking a deep breath in. And as you exhale, open the arms to a T, twisting to the right. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. Exhale, twisting left. Good. Inhale, arms reach. Exhale, twist. Finding your exalted right hand to the back of the left thigh. Left hand reaches up towards the sky. When you're ready, coming into high crescent lunge. And then exhale, opening out to warrior two. So finding your alignment, your gaze, and your drishti. Flipping the palm, inhale, reach up and back to peaceful warrior. Straightening the bend in the front knee, exhale, Trikonasana or a triangle pose. Right hand to the shin, left hand reaches up. So if you'd like to take this a little bit further, you can bring your fingertips into the arch, so using your side body to help lift you up, or maybe even biting peace fingers to big toe if that's in your practice. You want to keep drawing your right hip underneath the left so they're stacked, and your collarbones are stacked as well. Think of coming down in between two panes of glass. Next inhale, we rise, find that peaceful warrior. So come back to the deep bend in the front knee, arms reach up overhead. And then exhale, modified or extended side angle. So if you want to try extended side angle, you can place the block underneath the bottom hand like so, or just to the inside of the foot. The arm can stay lifted, or you can start to draw the arm, the bicep beside the ear. And then follow the gaze, follow the fingertips with the gaze. So you can stay here, you can move into a bind if you choose. So just lowering the top the bottom arm just scoots under. So if you are in the bind, you want to make sure that your hips are lower than your shoulders. Good, and then keep twisting, spiraling your heart open. Maybe Bird of Paradise is in your practice. Just staying and breathing here for a few more rounds of breath. Knowing that you can do anything for 3 rounds of breath. When you're ready, meeting back in your extended side angle. Revolving your side angle or easy twist. Left hand comes to the inside of the front foot, high on the back toes. Right hand reaches up. And moving into Wild Thing. So stepping the right foot back behind you, pressing into the ball of the foot, lifting the hips, opening up the heart. And then exhale to Fallen Star or Twisted Cheetah. So the first time we were here, we just stayed here. This time, option to extend the top leg to the outside of the mat. And then extending your arm up. Maybe even grow your fingertips forwards. And lower the left hand down. Inhale, right leg high. Find your 3-point. Option to keep the leg elevated as you shift forward through your vinyasa. Maybe skipping your vinyasa altogether. Coming back to your downward facing dog. So just come back to the breath. Moving into a little bit of a core challenge today. So shifting forward to high plank. And as you come back to downward facing dog, we're going to tap the left hand to the right ankle. So cross tap, like so. And then coming into high plank, the right hand to the left ankle, tapping back. Next time we come to high plank, we do a chaturanga push-up. We can also lower onto the knees. And then up to tap right to left, coming to high plank, tapping left to right, high plank, chaturanga push-ups. This is what it looks like if you go onto your knees, moving up to high plank. So tap to down dog, and forward, tap, and forward, chaturanga push-up, lift up, tap, forward. Another option is if you get tired, you can always just hold your high plank. Last set here, we'll do 5 altogether. So tap, plank, tap, plank. Last chaturanga push-up, all the way through upward facing dog or cobra. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Good job, you guys. That was easy. So come back to the breath. And just remember, if you need to take a break, you can always find child's pose like this. And just join us when you're feeling ready. The rest of us will get started on our left side. So step the feet together, inhale, left leg rises, bend the knee, peel that hip open. So you can stay here, you can flip your dog. If you did on the other side, all 10 toes face forward, both heels are lifted, the heart is opening, the palm is lifted. Good, unflipping your dog, coming back to your left leg lifted for your 3-point. Exhale, draw knee to nose, cheetah, and hold. Inhale, 3-point. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, 3-point. Exhale, knee to nose and hold for 3, 2, 1. Stiff your foot in between your hands, finding that low runner's lunge, using the blocks if you need to. Engage your core, start to hover the hands off the mat. As you inhale, arms reach up overhead, finding your high crescent lunge. Finding that deep breath in, and as you exhale, twisting to the left, opening up your heart, opening up your arms, keep engaging your outer glutes. Inhale, arms reach, exhale, twist. Inhale, arms reach, and exhale, twist. Holding here, finding our exalted, left hand to the back of the right thigh, right hand reaches to sky, looking up towards those fingertips. And finding your high crescent lunge. Exhale, open up to warrior 2. So deep bend in that front knee, finding your gaze, your drishti, flipping the palm up. Inhale, reach up and back to peaceful warrior. Straightening the bend in the front knee. Exhale, Trikonasana. So left hand comes to the shin, right hand reaches up to sky. Think of tucking that left hip under, stacking those collarbones, option for variation. Fingertips to the arch of the foot, maybe peace fingers to big toes. Just being okay with wherever you are today. Next, inhale, rise to peaceful warrior. Left hand reaches up, opening up left side body. And then exhale, modified or extended side angle. Left hand to the inside of the front foot or a block. Right hand reaches up and over maybe. Twisting, spiraling, heart open. Option to stay here, find the bind. The top arm comes behind the low back, palm facing up. And the bottom arm scoots under the leg. Bringing your hands together if you can. And then lowering the hips so that the shoulders are higher than hips. Maybe gazing up to the sky, maybe moving into bird of paradise if that's in your practice. Being okay to be here for 3 rounds of breath. And everyone leaning back in extended side angle, moving into revolve side angle or easy twist. High on the back toes, right hand lowers, the left hand rises. Wild thing, so stepping the front foot behind you, high on the toes, lifting the hips, extending the arm forwards. Then moving into fallen star or modifying for twisted. So extend the top leg, right arm reaches up. And lower the right hand, inhale, left leg high, find your 3-point. Option to keep the leg elevated as you shift forward, moving through a vinyasa. Exhale to downward facing dog. Good. Coming back to the breath, 3 rounds of breath. Taking a break if you need to. And then shifting forward into high plank. Good. So staying here if you wish, or moving into forearm plank. So onto the forearms, making sure everything is in line. So shoulders, hips, and heels. You can stay here, or you can challenge yourself by moving into dolphin. So just beginning to walk the toes up towards the elbows. Lifting your hips nice and high. Maybe this is where you stay today. So option if you're working on the arm balance, you can lift the right leg and lift up on the toes. Work on stacking your hips over your shoulders. So we have a few breaths here to play. Wherever you are today, maybe find stillness, maybe a break, finding your child's pose. And when you're ready, start to walk the feet back down, meeting in your forearm plank. Lower the belly down, draw your heart forward for Sphinx. So releasing that low back, pressing the quads into the mat, the hands, the forearms, crown of the head lifts. Good, and lowering down all the way. Hands come underneath the shoulders, tucking the toes under, pressing up to high plank. Option to exhale, down dog, or exhale, move through a flow, chaturanga, upward facing, downward facing dog. And if it feels good to you, you can take a cleansing breath, big breath in through the nose. Open the mouth and side out. With your next inhale, right leg rises, 3-point. Exhale, mountain climber or mountain climber prep, so tapping that right tricep. Inhale, 3-point. Exhale, twisted cheetah or fallen star. And then coming back to 3-point. Exhale, knee to nose and hold for 3, 2, 1. Step your foot in between your hands. Back heel in and down as you rise, arms reach up overhead, finding warrior 1. So the back foot is at a 45-degree angle. Arms are active, fingers spread wide, 90 degrees in that front knee. Next, inhale, straighten the bend in the front knee. Exhale, hinge and fold, Paschimottanasana or intense side stretch. You can use blocks if you have them on either side of the foot. Starting to draw your chest towards your thigh, maybe your forehead or chin to shin one day. Next, inhale, rise, through the front knee, arms reach up overhead. Exhale, grounded warrior 3. So back leg rises to 90, heel in line with your left hip. Fingertips start to walk back in line with the toes. Chest is moving to the thigh, the forehead to the shin. And then imagine that you're stepping on that back wall, so really flexing the left toes to your shin. Right hand comes about 2 feet in front of your toes. As you inhale, peel the top leg open, finding Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. So balancing here. So activating your left leg. So engaging the glute, the quad. See if you can lift it high, maybe challenging the gaze, maybe looking up towards the elevated fingers. Next, exhale, twisted Kundalini. So left hand lowers, the back knee tucks behind the right hand rises. So twisting your heart open to the right this time. Keeping your upper body exactly where it is, straightening the bend in both legs as you inhale to revolve half moon. So another balancing posture. So your hip points are facing forward as your heart is opening and twisting. Collarbones are stacking. And then lowering the right hand down. Finding your standing split. So lifting the left leg up nice and high, pointing the toe, walking fingertips back towards your toes. Forehead to your shin. So you can stay here, you can find balance, or if handstand hops are in your practice, you can start to take those. A few minutes just to play wherever you are, or a few breaths rather. And then lowering the leg down, inhale, right leg high, 3-point. Moving through that flow, keeping the leg elevated if you choose. Coming back to down dog, maybe child's pose if you need a little bit more rest. Next, inhale, left leg rises, 3-point. Exhale, mountain climber, prep, or fly. Inhale, 3-point. Exhale, twisted cheetah, tapping right tricep. Option to extend a fallen star or stay where you are. And then lowering the hand down, inhale, 3-point. Exhale, knee to nose and hold for 3, 2, 1. Step your foot in between your hands. Back heel in and down to 45 as you rise to Virabhadrasana 1. So hips are facing forward. Arms overhead, 90 degrees in that front knee. Next, inhale, straighten the bend in the front knee. Exhale, hinge and fold, Paschimottanasana, intense side stretch. Hands to either side of the foot or blocks. Maybe forehead to shin. Next, inhale, rise, warrior 1. Arms overhead. And then exhale, grounded warrior 3. So folding forwards, right heel in line with right hip. Squeezing inner thighs together. The right toe should be pointing straight down, so maybe have a look at your right toes. Fingertips back in line with toes. Extending your left arm forward in front of your left big toe. Start to stack and peel the hip open for Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. Working on our balance here, engaging our core to help lift the leg higher. Stacking collarbones, maybe challenging our gaze, looking up to the fingertips. Exhale, twisted Kundalini, right hand lowers, left hand reaches up. So the right knee is tucked behind the left. So keeping your body exactly where it is, just begin to straighten the bend in both legs, revolve half moon. Let's see if you can lift your right leg a little bit higher, like you're stepping on the back wall. And then coming into standing splits, left hand lowers, the right leg is gonna lift up and point the toes. So again, option to find the balance, maybe bringing the hand to the ankles, maybe moving into those handstand hops like we did on the other side. Taking a few minutes to play here. And then lowering and lunging Inhale, left leg high, 3-point. Shifting forward into your vinyasa or skipping. Coming back into downward facing dog. Resetting with the breath. Noticing where your thoughts are. Next inhale, right leg rises, 3-point. Exhale, mountain climber. Option to fly or hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 3-point. Exhale, knee to nose and hold for 3, 2, 1. Step your foot in between your hands. Inhale, rise, warrior 1. So arms reach up overhead. Next, exhale, hands come back behind you. Interlace the hands, finding a bind, opening up your heart. To inhale, exhale, humble warrior. Right shoulder moves to the inside of the front thigh. So we're not collapsing or resting onto the front thigh. We're using our core to help hold us up. Our hips are facing forwards. And the crown of the head is starting to lengthen down towards the earth. Next, inhale, we rise, warrior 1, keeping the bind here. And then shifting forward into warrior 3. With the bind, using your balance, make sure your hip points are facing towards the earth. So left hip might need to lower just a little bit. Ardha Chandrasana, half moon, right hand lowers, left hip stacking on top of right. So second time we're here, option to find a different variation, maybe finding the bind, maybe challenging the gaze by looking up, maybe even hovering the bottom hand off the mat. Bringing it into your heart. And then exhale to twisted Kundalini. Left hand lowers, back knee tucks behind the right. Right hand reaches up. And then reaching around, taking a hold of the pinky toe side of the right foot will rise, finding revolved dancer. So pressing into the right big toe, kicking the left foot to the back wall. So really challenging here our balance, our stability. And then gently release. 2 big toes to touch. Good. Next, inhale, arms reach up overhead, shifting the weight into the right foot, and then lowering the left hand down, taking a hold of the inside of that left foot. So setting up for dancer. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Your 2 knees should be touching. And then exhale, kicking the left shin to the back wall. Moving into your dancer, keeping your gaze, your drishti, just beyond the right fingertips. Resisting the urge to look down, looking forwards instead. And when you're ready, gently releasing into Eagle, Garudasana. So left leg crosses over right. The left arm will come under. So if you can, bringing your palms to touch like this. If not, just take a hold of your opposite shoulders. Maybe double cross if you have the space. So lots of different places where you can go with Eagle today. And then gently releasing, keeping the bind in the arms, stepping back, finding your high crescent lunge. Lift up the arms, lift up the gaze, squeeze the inner thighs together, stabilize. And then exhale, frame your front foot. Inhale, right leg high, 3-point. Moving through that vinyasa, if you choose. Coming back to downward facing dog. All right, we're almost there. We got one more side to go. You guys are doing great. Inhale, left leg high, 3-point. Exhale, mountain climber, prep or hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 3-point. Exhale, knee to nose and hold for 3, 2, 1. Step your foot in between your hands, back heel in and down. Rise to warrior 1. Good, finding that best expression here. Exhale, hands come back behind you, interlace the hands, maybe take a hold of opposite elbows if that's not accessible to you. Inhale, we lift and lengthen. Exhale, humble warrior. Left shoulder to the inside of the front thigh. Crown of the Remember, we're not lifting or resting on the top thigh. We're using our core to help hold us up. Arms are reaching forwards. And next inhale, rise, keep the bind, finding your warrior one. Shifting forward into warrior three. So lots of balancing here. On your next inhale, finding Ardha Chandrasana, half moon, left hand lower, so block on the floor, stacking right hip on top of left. You found the bind on the other side. Take a hold of the pinky toe side. Maybe challenge the gaze, look up to the sky, or maybe hover the bottom hand off the mat, bringing it into your heart center. And then gently release the bind, moving into twisted Kundalini, right hand lowers, back right knee tucks, left hand reaches up. Lowering the top arm, taking a hold of the pinky toe side of the right foot, will rise for revolved dancer. So rooting into the left big toe and kicking back with the right shin. So you lift up your heart, your chest. See if you can kick your foot just a little bit more. Good job. And then gently release so your two big toes are touching. Good. Next, inhale, arms reach up overhead. And then exhale, the right hand down. So taking a hold of the right foot from the outside, from the inside. And then inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, kick and hinge forward. So kicking that shin backwards as you reach your fingertips forwards. Finding that one point, that drishti. Beautiful. Start to lift up. Crossing right thigh over left, eagle pose. Right arm goes under. So bringing those palms together or taking a hold of opposite shoulders. Double crossing the ankles if you have the space. Think of drawing right hip back, left hip forward. Stacking shoulders over hips. See if you can sink just a little bit lower. And then gently releasing, stepping back into your high crescent lunge. So right toes back, lifting up, pressing up to the back of the right kneecap. Now start to lift your heart and your gaze. We're almost there. Good. Exhale, framing your left foot. Inhale, left leg high, 3-point. Last vinyasa of practice, shifting forward, moving through your version of your flow, and coming back to downward facing dog. Let's come back to the breath, reset, reconnect. You can even take a child's pose if you need to. Next, inhale, right leg rises, 3-point. Stepping into high lizard, right hand to the outside of the front foot. So your right foot, your toes are going to be pointing slightly out, your heel in. Make sure that your knee is in line with the toes. So you can stay high here in high lizard. Maybe work with a bind or an arm balance. You can lower onto the back knee and tuck the toes. And then if you feel like you have the space, lowering down onto the forearms. And just coming back to the breath, noticing if there's any places of tension that you can release. Maybe in between those shoulder blades. And if you're lower down, pressing your hands underneath your chest to lift your chest. Circling the right hand back behind you, lifting the back heel in towards your seat, taking a hold of the pinky toe side of the foot. So finding that quadricep stretch, making sure that you're not directly on the knee, but you're just above or in front of the kneecap. And then looking over the right shoulder, feeling that twist through the upper back. Gently releasing without slingshotting. Start to heel toe the right foot to the left wrist, setting it for pigeon pose. So working on having the shin parallel to the top of the mat as much as you can. Everybody's bodies are different. Flexing through the right foot protects the right knee. You can lift up, find that crowd pigeon chest, staying here perhaps, or floating down, surrendering into your pigeon. Now, if this bothers your knees or your low back, I'd like to invite you to find figure 4 on your back. So interlacing the hands to the backs of the thighs, flexing in through both feet. Just doing exactly the same stretch as pigeon, just on our back in reclined variation. So if you are in pigeon, you can place your hands underneath your chest, lift your heart, tucking your back toes under, making your way back to your downward facing dog. Feel free to pedal out the feet, maybe even circle in through that right hip a couple times, going in both directions when you're ready. And then lowering the feet down, 2 big toes touch. Next inhale, left leg rises, 3-point. Exhale, high lizard. Left hand to the outside of the left foot to the outside of the left hand rather. So you can stay in your high lizard. Maybe you can find a bind here, if you did on the other side. Or lower onto the bottom knee and untuck the toe, just focusing on the stretch. So working with strength or stretching today. Maybe lowering down onto the forearms. And just noticing the breath. And if you're lowered onto the forearms, pressing your hands underneath you to lift your chest, circling the left hand back behind you, taking a hold of the pinky toe side of the back foot. Starting to twist and open up the heart. So you feel that nice quadricep stretch, making sure you're not on the top of the kneecap, that you're rolling enough forward so you're just above it. And then without slingshotting, releasing the back leg. Then start to heel toe the left foot over to the right wrist. Shin as parallel to the top of the mat as you can, flexing in through the left foot. The right toes are pointing straight back, lifting up through the heart, the chest. And then if you took figure 4 on your back on the other side, finding that variation as well. So you can stay here, you can start to float the heart down towards the earth. Maybe relaxing your head onto a block or onto your hands. And just noticing the breath. Scanning the body for any tension that you're holding where it's not serving you. Maybe relaxing the space in between your forehead. Perhaps relaxing your jaw or in between your shoulder blades. And when you're ready, pressing your hands underneath of your heart to lift yourself up, tuck your back toes under, coming back into downward facing dog. You can pedal out the feet or circle in through the left hip a couple times. And then just starting to walk your feet halfway up your mat, extending your legs forward for Tadasana. So I'm going to face you guys for this one. So feet are flexed, toes to shins, hands to either side of the hips, lifting the heart, the shoulders, draw away from ears. Next inhale, arms reach up overhead, hinge and fold forward, Paschimottanasana. So taking a hold of the shins, the ankles, the outsides of the feet, maybe binding peace fingers to big toes. With your next inhale, lift your heart and lengthen, hollow out the belly, engage your quads. And exhale, hinge and fold forward. Crown of the head is inching towards the toes. Using the breath to soften here instead of forcing with the arms, using that core and back strength to come down. And then on your next inhale, start to lift the heart, the chest. Bring your hands back behind you, about 2 feet or maybe 1 foot, fingertips pointing towards you. And then next exhale, lifting into Paschimottanasana or reverse plank. So tops of the bottoms of the feet rather lifting up or pressing into the earth as the heart, the chest, the hips are lifting, maybe bringing the head, looking back behind you. And then gently bring the chin into the chest and lower the hips as you inhale. Good, bending the knees, feet are flat on the floor, bringing your hands around your shins, forehead into the knees. Giving yourself a little squeeze for a job well done. And then lifting up, extending the arms forward, and lowering down onto your back for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Setting up for bridge, so bringing the heels into the seat, knees up to the sky, hands down by your sides. You want to almost be able to graze the heels with your fingertips. With your next inhale, lift the pelvis up to the sky, coming onto the tops of the shoulders. If you feel like you have the space to go a little bit further, start to roll the shoulders underneath of you, and maybe bring the palms together, finding that bind. So think of drawing your heels back in towards your seat, your knees forward, lifting the heart, engaging those glutes. And on your next exhale, gently lower down, all the way nice and slow. Bringing your knees to touch your feet on mats, distance apart, palms facing up. Just take a moment to breathe, to allow your lower back to reset. So second set of bridge or wheel, if that's within your practice. If you like to go into wheel, you bring your heels back in line with fingertips, just like you do for bridge. Fingertips pointing towards you, elbows straight up to the sky. On your inhale, pressing into the feet and the hands to lift up. So working on straightening the bend in both elbows as much as you can. Try to parallel the feet, pressing into the feet and hands, lifting the heart. Trying to hold here for 5 rounds of breath. So if you're in bridge, holding for 5 rounds, or wheel. When you're ready, tucking your chin if you're in wheel, gently coming down. Nice and slow, vertebrae by vertebrae. And taking the feet together, soles of the feet together, knees out wide, Supta Baddha Konasana. Just to allow your heart rate to come back to normal. Placing your left hand on your heart and your right hand on your belly. So setting up for your gratitude practice, thinking of 3 things in your life that you are grateful for. When you're finished, bringing your hands to the outsides of your legs and then bringing them together like you're closing a book. And then bringing the legs into tabletop position on your back. Arms will come into a T. So option for a gentle supine twist over to the left. If you like to go a little bit deeper, crossing the right foot over top for eagle legs. You can bring the left hand on the top of the right thigh and then maybe gaze out towards the right fingertips. On your next inhale, bring your legs back to center, allowing your hips to fall to the right, maybe eagle legs if you did on the other side. Right hand on top of the left thigh, looking towards the left fingertips. And then coming back to center. Moving into a cooling in version of your choice. I think we'll move into happy baby. So taking a hold of the outsides of the feet. And then flexing the toes to shins, the knees come down to the outsides of the rib cage. Making sure your low back stays connected here. If it starts to lift, you can just bring your hands onto your shins. Maybe even bind peace fingers to big toes. And if it feels good, you can rock gently from side to side. You have shoulder stand in your practice, you can move into that. Or maybe waterfall, you want a little bit more restorative. And gently releasing, bringing the knees into the chest, giving yourself a squeeze for Apanasana. So take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, move your forehead into your knees. Inhale, head, neck, and shoulders lower. Exhale, legs move to the top of your mat. So setting up for your Shavasana, allowing the toes to fall open. Take up as much space as you need, palms up. And then starting to open up the heart by gently tucking and rolling the shoulder blades underneath of you. And if the chin is lifting at all, humbling the chin by drawing it back down, finding some length in through the back of the neck. And then we'll close our practice with a cleansing breath in through the nose. So biggest breath of the day. See if you can sip in just a little bit more air at the top. And then exhale, open the mouth inside out. Shavasana. And starting to deepen the breath. Sending your prana, your life force, your breath throughout your body. Inviting some gentle movements into the fingers and toes. Perhaps rolling out your wrists and rolling out your ankles. And if it feels good, finding a full, extending the arms up overhead, reaching from fingertips all the way to pointed toes. And then rolling onto whatever side you choose, your favorite side. And then resting your head heavy on your arm, just like a pillow. Coming back into the stillness of the earth, knowing that you're always supported. Maybe revisiting your intention that you set at the beginning of practice. Deciding if this is something that you take with you as you move about the rest of your day, or perhaps it served its purpose. Maybe set a new intention. When you're ready, starting to press yourself up to find a comfortable seat. Finding Sukhasana, easy seat. And taking the arms up overhead, palms to touch. And then exhale, hands to heart center. Taking a moment here to honor yourself, and your body, and your practice. Having gratitude for this yoga community